This is Hub City Spokes, where creators, catalysts, and leaders share their insight in Lubbock, Texas. This season, we're speaking with local businesses discussing their response to these changing times. Thanks for joining us. We're here with longtime Lubbock native Robert Taylor, CEO for United for 11 years now. We really appreciate getting on your schedule. I know you're very busy.
No, I appreciate it. Always enjoy it.
So can you kind of, for those that maybe don't know, can you walk us through, like I said, you're a Lubbock native, moved here when you were 2 years old. Your parents started a business here. What was that like going from there through the business ventures you have now?
Oh, it's been quite a journey. Of course, I don't remember much about prior to living in Lubbock. My parents came from a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week grocery store in Childress, Texas, and then moved to Lubbock, and he bought the Clarence Candy Company, was the name of it back then, and bought that, and it was, my mom ran the office, and he got out and sold candy, and that's kind of how he got started in the distribution business that was known as R.C. Taylor Distributing, that's still here today. Mm-hmm. So that's how they got started, and he didn't have the opportunity to go to school, so he adopted Texas Tech, and so I got drugged to football games and stuff when I relate back to the old stadium before they pulled the stands back and enlarged the stadium, and even saw one season of basketball in the agricultural barn.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
When I was little. So I've been a Tech basketball fan ever since. Yeah. So that was really a huge advantage, I think, of Lubbock, and that's one reason he was so happy to be able to buy a business in Lubbock.
Yeah,
is because of Texas Tech would be in here.
Yeah,
so it made a lot of difference. So he had that business. It grew. I worked there when I was during the summers, and on Saturday it was open all day Saturday. I have those memories of downtown. That's one reason why I'm kind of involved in downtown so much, is I have those memories of my job was to stand up there and block traffic on Saturday so he could get his panel truck in and out of the driveway, because there were so many people downtown shopping, and Saturday, the weekends, you could not find a parking place anywhere.
Really?
In downtown Lubbock.
Wow.
So those were, I remember those days, and I think that we're making strides to get it back that way.
Yeah, absolutely. You're co-chair for the memorial, right, for the tornado memorial in downtown?
That's right. I'm chairman. What really got me involved being chairman of the downtown TIF, the Tax Increment Financing Group. And what spun off of that was the tornado memorial, spun off that group. So,
were you in Lubbock when the tornado came through?
I was at Texas Tech. I lived in an apartment across, not too far from the stadium. Had been out that day. It was a Monday. Went out, didn't have afternoon classes, so we went out and went to Buffalo Lakes and went water skiing.
Yeah.
Beautiful day. Get back, cloud comes up, starts to hail. No advance warning. Had some friends up in our apartment. We were cooking, and the next thing I knew, a guy that was an attorney brother of mine from Houston looked out the window and he goes, "My gosh." He said, "A tree went by a while ago." And he said, I haven't seen that since the hurricane I was in. So that's comforting.
Oh,
so
goodness.
I took cover, 3 grown guys taking cover under one bed, but we took cover under that. And then when things calmed down, I made my way down to our business to see how it was. It was quite a drive. It was no lights, pitch black. You couldn't see anything, and it was floods, and so our business was downtown, but it was okay. It got a few scratches, and I stayed there, helped clean up a little bit. But the eye-opening event was coming back, and sun was coming up, and you had enough light to see what was done. And I told some people that just what ran through my mind when I was looking at that was, I've always been kind of a World War II buff and like to watch World War II movies. It looked like bombed out Germany or something. It just pieces of buildings standing, and telephone poles broken in half, and debris everywhere.
Nothing like you'd ever seen before.
No. It just I was down there the day before, and everything's fine.
Yeah.
And then you drive that morning, and all of a sudden it's like wow. nothing left. So
What was it like going from that, kind of moving forward, being in Lubbock? What was the time after that like?
well, Lubbock hit a resurgence right after that. Lubbock's always been a slow-growing, steady community, but it's had a few surges in its history that I've seen happen, and that was one of them. We've always had good city leadership and always responded to anything that seems like a crisis. Everybody pulls together. And it was amazing what all got accomplished in a short period of time after that tornado. 26 people lost their lives, which was this real tragedy part of it. A lot of people lost their homes. When I say a lot, I'm talking thousands, not just a few.
Right.
And behind that came a resurgence and a rebuild and a civic center and a lot of things that really propelled Lubbock and Texas Tech on to the future. So they made the best out of a really bad situation. Jim Granberry was mayor. I think he'd been mayor for days.
Oh my goodness!
Hit.
I can't even fathom.
So he got everybody together and everybody formed committees and everybody started working. And got a commendation letter from the President of the United States and for all the work. So it was rewarding to watch that grow, even at that age.
Yeah.
In college, you'd think that a lot of that kind of stuff doesn't make a difference, but you remember it and you relive it, and it did make a lot of difference.
Absolutely. Do you see that now? I'm curious what it's like for you. Like we said, being in business ventures and being incredibly successful and being from Lubbock, and whenever all this happened with the pandemic, just even adjusting the stores so that your customers are safe, and what is that like for you?
Well, there are some similarities. You see Lubbock, and you look around the state, you can surely look around the nation, and you can see Lubbock is in a lot better situation than many of our sister cities, and especially the larger ones. And we've got a lot of advantages. But you see for the most part, we've got a diverse population here. So you see everything. But I would say for the most part, people are very respectful of the situation and very responsive when they are given good information. I think that's a difference between Lubbockites and some other folks is there's a lot of independent people in Lubbock, and you give them good information and something that they can believe, and that you got some proof for them, they'll respond, and I think that's what's happened here. We've taken a lot of safety precautions when we reopen businesses, and I think the vast majority of not only the business owners but the customers and the guests of those that go to those businesses are responding in a way that provides everybody a safe haven to continue their life, improve things, and still have a safe environment.
Yeah, you definitely see that, especially when you're in United or Market Street or Amigos. I mean, they quickly responded, and you feel very safe with all the guidelines that they've established.
Well, we had some advantage in the beginning in that we had some leadership of our association of grocery stores that were in. They received and had some conference calls with some Chinese businesses and some Italian businesses, and they relayed their experiences with what was going on.
Oh, wow.
So we got a little bit of a head start on how to secure certain items, how to behave, and what to expect. Of course, a lot of that changed.
Right.
Because a lot of things that are true in the beginning were not true as we went through. So we went through that process of let's try this, let's try that.
Yeah, constantly evolving.
It was very interesting those early days of the COVID when it first started being an item in the United States.
What went through your mind when all of that kind of started?
Well, you have lots of, first of all, you realize that you're kind of anointed this essential business. I'm not big on the terms essential, non-essential. I mean, it's all in the eye of the beholder. If you're involved in a business, it's your business. It's dang sure essential.
Right.
So I think all businesses are essential.
Essential to the employees too.
That's right.
That job's essential.
There's a lot of people depending on small business, especially in Lubbock. So, but being deemed at that time essential business, you also all of a sudden you feel a responsibility. And ours, one thing I'm so pleased with, we've got 18,000 team members. It's amazing. All of those people really took it to heart. I mean, used to, you'd have to ask a young man to work, we need you 6 more hours. Well, oh gosh, I've got this, I've got that. It's funny how much we had no problem filling schedules because people were, I'm working.
Yeah, willing to help out.
Yeah, they really were, and they did it in the right way. So we early on had some inclination, so we were able to order some spacers and order some decals that gives, talking about 6 feet spacing. We got some acrylics before the acrylic market was wiped out, and got them installed really quickly to give spacing between our checkers and the guest. Brought in sanitizing stations, brought in a lot of sanitizer. We changed store hours so we could, we just expanded hours. You've got to do that a longer period of time. It's harder to staff that in the beginning before you have a chance to staff up. So in the beginning, we reduced hours, and then we created senior hours, or not just seniors, but people that for some reason are compromised.
Right.
So we did a lot of things in the beginning. We took a lot of things you don't think about, but we have a lot of common touch points. The ones you can't do away with, we started sanitizing every 15 minutes, like door handles and things. Ones you could do away with, like bulk foods that you had to, or grinders you had to push a button. We disabled those. To this day, we still don't have salad bars back because it's common touch utensils. Right. So we kept all full service, and we went throughout the store and dismantled a lot of things like that, or reformatted it. So we were a little bit ahead of the curve on a lot of those things. And then we tried some things that didn't work. I think it was a great idea, but one-way aisles with the eras, I think it's a great idea. We learned that it didn't achieve what we wanted to achieve. So the better option was to make sure we don't have anything sitting in the aisle and create as wide an aisle as physically possible. Yeah. And I think you'll see the one-way aisles slowly disappear because it didn't really enhance the effort. The important thing is you get things out of the aisles so people can pass. But another really important thing that's changed is people's behavior. You'd see a shopping pattern, seeing somebody walk down an aisle of the grocery store, and they would try to find their favorite brand of this or that. And if somebody else wanted kind of in that space or something, they would go up and reach across. But now if you'll notice, you'll see somebody, they'll walk up and they'll stand back and they give space. Yeah. And then until that person finishes their selection, they go off and then they go in and make their selection. So people's behavior have enabled us to start to do things a little bit differently.
I'm interested how that's going to continue, like how these behaviors that we've learned and interactions with others, what's going to
We're curious to know that ourselves. Yeah. But I would think that for the most part, I think you'll see the spacing will, to a large degree, continue. I think there's some things. No touch, we're just about now, we're nearly no touch now, but we're almost have the technological capabilities that you can check out without touching anything and get your rewards number. You can wave the card, right, or your PayPal or whatever. But everything will be to the point that there's no touching going back and forth. I think that will go. I think working at home, we've got most of our support staff working from home, or at least on an alternate schedule. I think you'll see some of that stay in place. I'm surely not, I don't think, anywhere near all of it, right, but I think some of that. So there's a lot of things because of people's behaviors. You're going to have to make people feel comfortable to come back to your place of business. It's not just that we're open. It's that, hey, we're open and we're doing things safely. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a reason. I just noticed the news this morning. If you look, there's Mexico and Central and South America. I mean, this virus hadn't gone away. it's still there, and those countries are having big problems right now.
Yeah, always trying to adjust to whatever is coming.
That's right. So I think there's a reason in Lubbock why we have been able to quell that increase and reopen at the same time. I think it's the way you do it. You always wonder what you're doing, if it's working or not. And as far as what we've done at United, I just did a little math. We have not been without the COVID. We've had 31 team members company-wide come down with coronavirus. That's out of 18,500 team members. We've had 31, and keep in mind they're in front of the public all day.
Yeah, absolutely.
None of those 31 are traceable back to exposure at work. There's some that aren't traceable.
Right.
But the ones are traced back, they're traced back to some other interaction with a family member or something somewhere else. Mm-hmm. But I think the things that we're putting in place, and we're testing everybody when they come in.
You've been able to control it a little bit.
I think those measures obviously are working. It's just a hair over 1/1000%
Yeah.
of when you do that, which is less than half of Lubbock's average. People. So I think it's working.
Yeah. So what did you think when the mayor called you to co-chair the Lubbock Economic Recovery Task Force? He gave you a call, or is
I thought, well,
Councilman Massinger?
No, well, they both did. Mayor called first, and I've always not mind giving back to the city and doing what I thought was right to create a better environment. It's not only for my family, but for all the families and all the people that live in Lubbock. So I'm not bashful about that, but there's a point in time, and I was doing the TIF, and we did that, on the tornado memorial. And I'd served a lot of time, and so I when he called, and plus, there's a lot going on in my world, in the business world, because we were just trying to figure out how can we get more groceries, how do we get them in. We got a distribution center out there. We'd like not to just run those poor guys in the ground. Yeah. They were working their tails off. So we were trying to figure all this out. So I said, well, Dan, and he said, I made a statement to Dan one day that, because it's true, one in 70 people that live in Lubbock work for United, in either the distribution center, Praters, one of the RC Taylor, one of the businesses that they work, 1 in 70. And he goes, I think that if you're responsible and you have 1 in 70 people in our community that work at your company, that you probably need to serve on this committee. That's okay.
So it kind of got turned.
Yeah, he's pretty good at that, but I didn't mind it at all. It was just at first it worked out fine too. It was critical at first to bide my time where I could do justice to that, because I didn't want to just be on the committee. So and two, with the travel restrictions, I travel more than I thought I ever would, but we just did away with travel. Yeah. So it created time for me too that I had booked for other things.
Yeah. So what were some of the considerations whenever you first started meeting all of you, whenever you're looking at getting the economy reopened?
Well, of course, that time there was not any governor's orders at that time. That was pre his first press conference, and so we really thought that we would have local control of reopening, and really we were more supportive because everybody's we were maybe would have been a little bit more aggressive on some issues and getting some businesses open as long as it's done the right way. So there's really two things, I guess. As we met in the first meetings, as it turned out, we would have been maybe a little bit more aggressive, but the rules for opening might have been a little bit stricter.
Yeah.
And so that's why we came up with that Lubbock Safe, is we just went ahead and implemented those rules that we had already drawn up and said, if you kind of want to go over and above and open your business, you can apply for Lubbock Safe, and let your customers know that you've kind of gone above and beyond for their safety.
We're talking to the mayor later this week about the Lubbock Safe program. Do you want to kind of give a little glimpse of of it, the parameters of it, some considerations that businesses are taking?
Well, we had a very active group. We had in our group we had 4 subcommittees. We had the one to get people back to work. We had communications, and we had education, and we had the medical. So when we came up with rules, we thought that it would be good to get people back to work. We'd run it through the medical group, and they would say, "No, you need to do it this way." So it was a very good, well thought out plan. And I think to date we've got 817, I believe it is, a little over 800 businesses that have qualified for that. We've had about 2,200 business start the process. So we're getting about a 31% completion rate.
Wow.
So, which is not bad.
Yeah.
Like everything else, there's no history for this, so we can say it's good if we want to.
Yeah, there's no precedence.
That's right.
Starting everything from the bottom.
That's right. That's what you've learned to do on this whole thing.
Definitely. So speaking of, where do you see, or what are some things that you think Lubbock is learning through this, or will look back, much like after the tornado, a changing event in our city's time?
Well, I think, I know we have, as a business, you learn that you've got these principles that are always tried and true, and you've got the outcomes you always expect. You learn that you better stick first to your core principles, but your other things that you think are tried and true, you better be flexible, because something's going to happen you never thought would happen. And if that wipes you out, you got to be able to change it. And it was hard for some of our folks. I tell you who was really, really tough on us, some of our people, long-term team members that were responsible for the stores, store directors and assistant store directors. And where they struggled so much is they were so dialed in on creating such a positive guest experience, always having whatever guests wanted on the shelf, always having this presentable image out there. That it really, really, I mean, some of them worked themselves to death. And at the beginning, I was walking in stores just seeing, what can we do? What can we do to help you? What do you need? And I walked in one assistant store director. I said, "Oh, I can't believe you came today. Our store has never, ever looked this bad." He said, "I am so embarrassed." I was, wait a minute. That's not why I'm here.
Yeah.
I said, do the best job, get all the groceries you can on the shelf. Right. You know, we do the best we can.
It speaks to that high threshold they want to hold for their customers and for the brand, that they're, regardless of what's going on, they're going to have what United, puts out, they're going to have it.
And they're very consistent in what they want to present.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of long-time team members, probably more than your average business. So it really devastated them that they couldn't perform like they thought they should.
Well, we appreciate your leadership. We appreciate everything you're involved in. Thank you for taking time today to talk with us.
I've enjoyed it. There's a lot of things that you think about through something like this you don't talk about.
Right.
And so it's kind of fun to be able to kind of sit back and relax and talk about things that you really love. And what goes on in Lubbock is near and dear to my heart. And what happens at United is also.
Absolutely. We can definitely tell that echoes through your company for sure. So
thank you.
Thank you. All right. We'll catch you next time. Hub City Spokes is produced by the Lubbock Economic Development Alliance in partnership with Hamel Bros Studios. Special thanks to the DoubleTree by Hilton for hosting us here in downtown Lubbock. For more episodes and to subscribe, go to lubbockeda.org/podcast.